Antonio! Funny how friends can be closer than family.
Got eyes on Jose.